In this video, we'll be counting down our top 10 action-adventure games of 2015. Let's get right into this with number 10. Number 10, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Syndicate was an unfortunate victim of circumstance. Any Assassin's Creed game following the atrocity that was Assassin's Creed Unity was gonna have a hard time getting people to be excited. Well, it turns out that Assassin's Creed Syndicate is actually a really good game. Gone are the horrendous technical issues from Unity, and while the game doesn't run perfectly, it's much better. The characters are some of the best in the history of the franchise, and the gameplay, while it is more of the same, it's refined and made better. The best inclusion in the game is the new grappling hook, which makes traversing the giant world much easier and much more enjoyable. Assassin's Creed Syndicate isn't a game that completely redefines what Assassin's Creed is, but for fans of the series, it's a game that you'll really enjoy. Syndicate is available on the Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Number 9, Life is Strange. Life is Strange is a game that follows a similar playstyle to Telltale's Walking Dead game, so expect more of an adventure game opposed to an action one. The best part of Life is Strange is the storytelling and the writing. The game takes on subjects that typically games don't really cover, and it does it in an intelligent way. The game builds and builds each episode with its character development and its plot. Life is Strange is different from the rest of this list in that it's more of a graphic adventure, so its exploration is limited, but still, if you're a fan of Telltale's game, Life is Strange will be right up your alley. The game is available on PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. Number 8, Dying Light. Dying Light is an open-world adventure game, and while it's also supposed to be a survival horror game, there aren't many times where you're gonna be that scared playing the game. Still, as far as gameplay goes, it's top-notch. The parkour mechanics work very well in the game, jumping from rooftop to rooftop or onto a van, and there are times when there's a horde of zombies chasing after you, and that will get your heart racing a bit. Also, an obvious standout of Dying Light is the excellent visuals. The lighting of the game is some of the best that I've ever seen. Open-world adventure games have become so abundant that Dying Light does a pretty good job standing out with the parkour gameplay and the use of its zombies. Give it a look, you can pick it up on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Number 7, Just Cause 3. The developers of Just Cause 3, Avalanche, are well known for their work on action-adventure style games. Outside of Just Cause 3, they also released Mad Max in 2015. However, the better of the two games is obviously Just Cause 3. There's not a story in this game that'll have you emotionally hooked from start to finish. No, Just Cause 3 is all about exploring the giant world of Medici, blowing stuff up, and then doing it again. The one word I can use to describe Just Cause 3 is fun. That's what it is. It's a game you play to have an absolute blast, no pun intended. Now, I do have to note that on consoles, the game runs pretty poorly and has pretty bad load times. On PC, it's much better, but also has some minor technical issues. If you have the option, play the game on PC. Otherwise, it's still a very enjoyable game that you can just lose yourself to. Number 6, Axiom Verge. Now, while Axiom Verge is a 2D platformer, the game is in the vein of a Metroidvania, so there is quite a bit of exploration and things to find, such as power-ups, items, etc. Axiom Verge is a love letter to people who enjoyed old-school games such as Mega Man, Super Metroid, Castlevania, and so on. It takes what's popular about those games, but it also has a modern feel to it, so just about anybody can play the game. And while to some the graphics may be dated, for the style of game that Axiom Verge is, it works. And keep in mind, this was a game that was developed by one person, so it is quite a feat considering what he was able to accomplish. Axiom Verge went a bit under the radar, so if you haven't checked it out, give the game a look. It's available on PC and PS4. Number 5, Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection. Now yes, Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection is a compilation of the 3 Uncharted games on PS3 that were released years ago. Still, it had to be on this list, and those of you that have played Uncharted know why. Naughty Dog's work in the Uncharted games was excellent, and while the first game hasn't aged the best, it's still better than a lot of games that are released these days. And then you have Uncharted 2 and 3, some of the best action-adventure games of all time, with amazing gameplay, a fantastic story with perfect pacing, and the visuals still hold up today. And with the game running at 1080p and 60 FPS, it looks and plays even better. If you've never played any of the Uncharted games, the Nathan Drake Collection is a must-buy, and even if you have, it's fun to go back and play these games with the better visuals and frame rate. Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection is obviously a PS4 exclusive. Number 4, Ori and the Blind Forest. Like Axiom Verge, Ori and the Blind Forest is also a 2D platformer. The game is in a sub-open world setting, so you can backtrack and there are options for exploration. The one thing you'll notice about Ori and the Blind Forest immediately is the gorgeous art style. It looks great and adds an extra layer to the ambiance and atmosphere to the game. The story is extremely good, and right off the bat you'll be attached to the characters in the game. And Moon Studios did a good job keeping the gameplay accessible, but at the same time there is a level of difficulty and challenge to the gameplay as well. The design of the game is top tier, from the art style to the environments. This is a very well thought out game. Definitely go play Ori and the Blind Forest. It's available on Xbox One and PC. Number 3, Batman Arkham Knight. It kind of seems odd in how many people forgot about Batman Arkham Knight. It was the conclusion to one of the most beloved video game series in the last decade, and yet many people don't really talk about it. And that may have had something to do with how controversial the Batmobile sections of the game were. Some people loved them, others not so much. Keep in mind that Batman Arkham Knight is set in a fully open world Gotham City, so having the Batmobile does make it easier to get from point A to point B. But at times, some of the Batmobile specific sections did get a bit tiresome. However, that doesn't take away from Arkham Knight's excellent gameplay, the great visuals, and now that the game is in a full open world, there's so much to explore and do. On consoles, the game works very well, and while on PC it did have an absolutely horrific launch, at this point it's at least playable. Batman Arkham Knight is a very good game whether you're a fan of the Arkham games, a fan of Batman, or just a fan of quality action-adventure games. Number 2, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider, just like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, was a victim of circumstance but in a much bigger way. The game had the unfortunate fate of being released on the same day as Fallout 4, and no matter how good the game was, it was gonna be dwarfed by the sheer amount of hype that Fallout had. And that's a shame because the game already had a limited install base to work with as it's a timed Xbox exclusive. Regardless, if you forget about all of that, Rise of the Tomb Raider is one of the best games of the year. If you enjoyed the Tomb Raider reboot from 2013, Rise of the Tomb Raider exceeds that game in every way possible. The story is much better with a great antagonist, the gameplay is more varied, and there's more options in how to play the game. And the world is much bigger, not to the level of, say, an open world game, but there's definitely a lot of exploration to be done in the game. If you have an Xbox One, go buy Rise of the Tomb Raider right now. If you're someone with a PC, the game will be released in early 2016 and late 2016 on the PS4. Number 1, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Quite possibly the most controversial game of the year, mostly due to everything that's been going on with Konami and now that Hideo Kojima has left. But let's forget about all of that for a second and look at Metal Gear Solid 5 as a game. As far as gameplay goes, this is some of the best I've ever seen in the series, and the action stealth gameplay blends seamlessly with the open world setting of MGS5, which was a first for the series. The major issue with Metal Gear Solid 5 is the story, which isn't bad, but it's told in a different way with the use of cassette tapes. Still, if you can get past the fact that the story isn't up to par compared to games like Metal Gear Solid 3 or 4, and the fact that Konami published this game, there's a lot of fun to be had in Metal Gear Solid 5, and we should celebrate what's probably Hideo Kojima's last Metal Gear game. You can pick up Metal Gear Solid 5 on PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. That wraps up our countdown of the top 10 action-adventure games of 2015. Do you agree with our list? Disagree? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.